Sir, we're reading a live Scarrow Bloom signature.
Active transition, right now.
Location?
A garden shed.
Warden Brensolt had personally overseen the quarantine of 6 border worlds infested with Scarrow driftspore, and not one of those evacuations had ever been ordered on account of a garden shed. This one was. My name's Earl Pruitt, I'm 58, and I keep bees in the side yard because my late wife loved honey and I never got around to stopping after she passed. 11 hives, all lined up neat behind the fence, and every one of them's mine to fuss over. Check the frames, top off the sugar water, smoke, and down easy if they get riled. Simple hobby. Keeps my hands busy, and the neighbors don't mind so long as I keep the fence line trimmed. That was the whole plan for the morning, right up until Hive 12 showed up on its own. I didn't order a 12th hive. Didn't build one either. Found it Tuesday morning sitting exactly where the old compost bin used to be, silver gray, humming a little different than the others, but bees are bees. Sometimes a wild swarm just moves in and claims a box, especially if you leave an empty one lying around, which, fair enough, I probably had. I figured a colony had wandered over from the Hendersons' place down the road, since Marge Henderson's always losing swarms to the wind. Gave it a look, decided it could use a proper smoking same as the rest, and got to work. Warden Brensolt sensors caught the first ping off that same patch of yard 11 minutes later, a resonance signature his console hadn't logged since training, back when instructors used it specifically to terrify recruits into paying attention. He ran it twice, hoping for a data error. He did not get one. Confirm the reading, he said. Confirmed, said the tech beside him, voice gone thin. It's a Bloom signature. Dorma to active transition, in progress right now. Bren had heard the word Bloom exactly once outside a classroom, and had come from a superior officer who'd gone pale just saying it out loud. Dr. Essa Kell got the flag on her lunch break and lost her appetite somewhere around the second data packet. The Scarrow Bloom wasn't a weapon in the conventional sense. It was worse, an old bioform seeded by a civilization nobody alive had ever met, designed to wake gradually, feed on ambient heat and motion, and once fully active, spread faster than any quarantine protocol could contain. 3 colonies had gone silent to it, centuries back, entire settlements reduced to archive footnotes. The last confirmed fragment had been sealed under 17 layers of stasis field in a vault nobody was permitted to name aloud, guarded by a rotating detail that trained for that single posting and nothing else. This fragment was sitting in a wooden box behind somebody's fence, 40 meters from a lawnmower. It's transitioning, she told Bren, staring at the live feed. Faster than the archive predicted. Something's accelerating the wake cycle. Back home, I gave Hive 12 a good, slow smoking, same technique my wife's granddad taught me 40 years ago. Cool, steady puffs, low to the entrance, never rush it, never spook, calms right down. Works on every hive I've ever kept, ornery or not. This one settled faster than most, actually. Went from an angry little hum to a soft, contented buzz inside of 2 minutes.
Nice.
Whatever swarm this was, they took to smoke better than my usual girls. I cracked the lid, found no comb yet, just a strange soft lattice the color of wet slate, and figured they hadn't gotten around to building. New colonies are like that, disorganized the first week or 2. Gave it some sugar water, anyway. New colonies need the calories, same as anybody starting from scratch. Dr. Kell watched the Bloom's feed rate spike and then, impossibly, drop, smoothing into a rhythm her instruments had never recorded outside of full dormancy. It's slowing back down, she said, and her voice had gone strange. Something just fed at a compound that's suppressing the wake sequence. I don't have a name for what he just did. Human designation, her aide offered, checking the translated audio log. He called it sugar water. Commander Sale Renoth arrived at the listening post already braced for a fight and found, instead, a live feed of a man in a straw hat gently blowing smoke into an Extinction-class bioform like it was a mild inconvenience at a barbecue. Explain to me, Sale said, very slowly, why the Bloom is not spreading. It's being managed, Commander, Bren said. Manually. By hand. By whom? Bren pulled up the file. Earl Pruitt, 61 Scarrow Standard years, no military record, no scientific credentials, registered occupation retired, with a secondary hobby listing that made the entire watch floor go quiet when it was read aloud. Apiarist. A bee farmer, Sale repeated. Yes, Commander. Is the bloom aware it is being farmed? Nobody had an answer for that, and the silence that followed lasted long enough that the junior tech in the corner quietly stopped taking notes, on the theory that some things weren't meant to make it into the official record. I noticed Hive 12 was building slow, so I figured they were a weak colony, maybe queenless, and went looking. Found something in the center frame that wasn't quite a queen bee, more like a little pulsing knot of the same slate-gray lattice, and treated it exactly the way I'd treat any queen, marked her with a dab of paint so I could spot her easy next time, same white I use on all 11 other hives. Little fella didn't seem to mind. Settled right down once I had her marked, actually calmer than she'd been all morning. Dr. Kell's readout flatlined into something she'd never once seen in any Bloom archive. Total behavioral stability, centered entirely around a single marked point in its own structure, the exact spot the human had touched. He didn't just suppress it, she said slowly. He gave it an anchor. It's organizing around him now. Like she stopped, made herself say the word. Like he's the queen. Sale Renoth stared at the feed for a long moment. Hive 12 sitting placid in a straw-hatted man's backyard, humming the same gentle note as the 10 ordinary hives beside it, utterly, completely tame, indistinguishable from anything you'd find in a hobbyist's supply catalog. Recommend course of action, his aide said. Sale thought about 6 border worlds, 3 lost colonies, and a weapon nobody in his empire's history had ever managed to do more than delay, let alone calm. Recommend, he said, that we send him a fruit basket and never, under any circumstances, mention what he's keeping in that box. I checked on Hive 12 again before dinner, happy to see it settling in nice with the others. Figures I'd get a good batch this season, if the weather holds. Told my neighbor Frank about the new colony over the fence, said they were a little unusual looking but gentle as lambs once you got some smoke on 'em. Frank asked if I wanted to split off a few frames for his own yard come spring, since that's usually how a good colony gets shared around the neighborhood. Told him sure, be my guest. Sharing's half the fun of the hobby. 3 systems away, Warden Bren Solt filed the incident report under a classification his supervisor had to invent on the spot because no existing category covered extinction-class bioform successfully domesticated by an elderly widower using smoke and sugar water. His single recommendation underlined twice: do not, under any circumstances, let Earl Pruitt find out what he actually owns. I got a real nice batch of honey off Hive 12 that August. Tasted a little metallic, if I'm honest, but Frank said his half turned out fine, so maybe it was just me, or maybe it was something in the soil back there. Hard to say. Told my late wife's sister about the odd new colony at Sunday dinner, and she said bees do funny things some years, weather probably, and left it at that. Anyway, frames need checking again, next week. Told Frank I'd save him a jar, and I always keep my word on things like that.